All right, well, we're back. Let's finish this up.
Jesus, you're my heart's first love. You've been holding on.
Shalom, Christopher.
You once were the air I breathed. Still my heart to remember. And Jesus, I am wondering.
Considering the name there, Mr. Sick Voodoo, I'm not sure what Lord you're talking about.
You once gave your life to me. Still my soul to remember.
Judy, God bless.
Still my soul to remember.
Can you clarify?
Your mountains rise without knowing. Your rivers run without needing.
You might consider a new screen name.
To know where they are going. Your lilies spinning so free. Oh, they're happy to be. So teach me this kind of humility. Teach me this kind of humility. Jesus, I am struggling. Lord, I'm struggling to see. I'm doubting your provision.
Okay, good to know.
Still my mind to remember that Jesus.
Yeah, this is a good song. Humility by Andrew Blooms. You're welcome, Jay Humblest. I figured I'd crank it out. Get it done. The problem is, by next month, I'll have another new A to Z to do. Thought this was a conspiracy video. It's more like well, it's an attempt to open up your eyes. So again, anybody who liked that was Andrew Blooms, and the song was Humility. We're just going to go ahead and hop right in because these get long. This is where we ended earlier. Tamara Marte? Not sure who she is. And I guess, again, since if we're in doubt of who these people are, let's go ahead and try to figure out who they are. maybe we looked this up already. Shim, I guess, is her stage name. French singer. Yeah, I think we did look this up earlier. Let's continue. Tara McDonald, and of course, Jan. You got the one eye with the 5-pointed star, the pentagram, covering up her eyeball. Must, yet again, be an optometry test. Please excuse me, I'm a little tired, but I wanted to crank this out and at least be done with this series. So, there's Tara McDonald again. I'm not sure if that's the same. No, that's a different photo. Again, you know, putting the pentagram over the eye. There she is with the heart, right? And it's interesting that we were looking earlier at the woman who had the, what was her name? The woman who had the OTO, Ordo Templi Orientis tattoo, and it was OTO in a heart. And so, the more I'm looking at this, sometimes I'll research that end more, but I'm sure that plays some role. Could explain that maybe some of these people are telling you that they, hey, I'm an occultist too, and I'm from OTO. Could be deeper than that, but I don't know. They never, there's no transparency with these folks. Everything's done in secret. Tarkan, I don't know who he is, but apparently he's at the eye exam as well. I mean, what do you do at this point? Let's continue. I don't know. I guess this is some couple. I think we saw this the other day. Tasha St. Patrick and Joseph Sakura. So I don't know if they're a husband and wife or what, but wow, that must be a real fun marriage. Filled with true love and excitement. Tavi Gevinson. Not sure who she is, but something for love. Again, something tells me you mean something other than what I associate that with. But yeah, interesting choice of sweater. Pretty hideous sweater. Even if you're trying to be kind of, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish here, but it's a hideous sweater, just aesthetically. And, of course, you gotta have the eyeball. Gotta have the eyeball. I found out that Justin Bieber's eyeball tattoo on his elbow is his mother's eye. So it's nothing to worry about. The obsession with eyeballs must have nothing to do with any Hollywood weirdness. TK. Ah, yes. TK. Here he is again. He's in prison now. He was a rapper. He actually murdered some people. And he put out some really, really uplifting music during his short time of freedom in the world. Basically became a murderer as a little boy because music, gangster rap, all that stuff has no effect on society whatsoever. None. Taylor Marie Hill. Not sure who that is. Let's go ahead and find out. Okay. So she is an American model and then Victoria's Secret angel. And isn't it very interesting that Victoria's Secret oftentimes, because it's her secret, they will do the vow of silence and Harpocrates a lot throughout their advertisements and on their covers. Taylor Momsen, donning. She's a Satanist, but I mean, we'll see this as we go forward. But donning an Aleister Crowley shirt to her adoring fans down below, who are no doubt there for some kind of concert. I'm not sure what they're there for. Nobody really knows if she's wearing anything underneath her sexy Aleister Crowley shirt. But what does it matter? It's 2019. There's Taylor again. She's throwing up the yawn. Devil horns. Oh, nice touch. You got to paint your nails black too. Post Malone agrees. There she is again, and interesting cross. We see some roses on it, and it seems to me that she's... Let's translate this real quick. It's not that hard. The secret here is I'm telling you that your way to God is right here. Classy. Taylor Momsen. There you go. Let's continue on. Clearly they're gearing up, as you can tell, for an orgy. Either maybe are getting ready for one, or maybe they just had one. But there you go. There's Taylor doing the robotic one eye. You got to improvise. So you got a bracelet on. You got like 50 bracelets. What's one missing to place above your eyeball for the photo shoot? Yeah, there you go. If you don't know, these pentagrams inside of circles that they put down there, they're for the purposes of conjuring spirits, just so you know. And they'll also have sex in there. So she probably, we really don't want to speculate beyond that, but just know it's the place for the ritual sex. There you go. That's classy, Taylor. I doubt she has any kind of demonic activity going on. Classy too. I like the take on the Baphomet, which we won't comment on. But real classy woman. Taylor Swift for Fujifilm. Okay. It must be so weird. Can you imagine like owning things from companies with like your name on it, and it's being sold to everyone? That would just be really odd from my perspective. So let's see though. Is she likes a snake? She likes the snake ring. But let's see. Anything more on Taylor? There you go. Oh, I like that. I like how you're referencing Michael Jackson, as we showed before, and little Justin Timberlake. This is it sometimes comes up, but it's more of the, it's not quite as blatant. I'm just tipping my hat a little bit. Mm-hmm. We see you. Oh, what's your excuse there? You taking the eye exam again? Is that what it is? There's Taylor Swift again. Front cover of Harper's Bazaar. It's just... You might as well, by extraction, since we're noticing that there's a trend among the celebrities, you might as well just assume the very industries that promote it all to you are pretty much hook, line, and sinker in line with the very same forces. Pretty much just goes without saying. So there's Taylor Swift again. Nice little Coke promo again too, because we haven't seen Coke in this at all, have we? Or Pepsi, or McDonald's. Taylor Swift again. You know, Tia Leone. She's an actress, I know that much. I don't know what she's been in, though. Doesn't matter. But people who are not familiar with this would just not even blink an eye at this kind of photograph. You know. Tech 9. Tech 9 is constantly throwing up the symbols. There he is. Right there as well. Maybe you would like to have him over for dinner one night. Just don't invite Richard Dawkins. Because Dawkins, especially don't ask Richard Dawkins to show up with any kind of hors d'oeuvres. Because it might be test tube human flesh, which is something that he seems to be interested in starting conversations about. So bizarre. This is Tech 9 again. Yes, he is throwing up the devil horns, but of course to this anarchy business as well. Order out of chaos. Satan doesn't care, man. He plays all sides. So the punkest of the punk rocker who thinks he's fighting the man, and then the man who's trying to, take away everybody's liberty and freedom. Like they're actually, funnily enough, fighting for the same team, because distracted in all of that, they're not actually paying attention to what's important and meaningful, which is giving your life to Christ. And so therefore, no matter what you think is your solution in this secular approach, ain't gonna work, because you're serving team darkness. Until you acknowledge Jesus Christ, you literally have an antichrist spirit in you. There's no two ways about it. And I see it confirmed and bore out every single day of my life, interacting with, especially with the public on here. And we won't go into this too much, but because I don't really know what to think of that whole Illuminati card game that Steve Jackson Games put out. I don't know, but I've saved this card for something. Terrence Nance looks like he's maybe posing with his son. Or I don't know if that's his son or just a baby they're putting in there, but there you go. Looks like he's opened up his demon eye. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Terry Wogan. Who is this? Are we going to see him again? Why do I have this here? I think it might have been because I for some reason, I think I found, and don't quote me on this, but that he was somehow pretty associated with Jimmy Savile. But that may or may not bear out. But a lot of these guys, that men of renown, men of repute, you find sometimes something quite different there. Thalia, Thalia. Who is that? Let's go see. So she's a Mexican singer, songwriter, producer, actress, and entrepreneur. So like we were doing earlier, I kind of want to go see, because that may not convince you. So let's see if we go on the Instagram, whether we find anything else. Because I'm not sure. Is there a next one of her? Yes, there is. So, I mean, we've already confirmed it. You know, it's confirmed. Let's see if there's another one. No. So that's confirmed. But let's just go on her Instagram just to see if we, besides the lust after me obviousness of it all. That's classy. That's interesting as well. Do you ever notice that all the people that are promoted to us, like they all look like Kim Kardashian clones or something? I don't know. It's just the same superficial life that keeps getting promoted to you. I mean, here you go. Again, most people, they don't think anything of this, you know. Now it's a video, so, but it's a curious thumbnail to the video. We'll find something here, or we'll back out here in a moment. I mean, it's right there, but I'm looking for, trying to find good. There you go. There you go. We can go on and on and on, but we'll look at some other people later. So we'll look at some more Instagram accounts of other celebrities to see if we can find more new. Just, you know, it's very easy to find this stuff. It's not really all that hard. It is time consuming. But once especially if you want to get involved in kind of helping to get this out there, which I really want to encourage people to do, it's really not so hard. It's just, it requires somebody to have, obviously, the time to do it. So it's perfect for people who are maybe in a position where that works for them right now. Because we could use some more people helping to basically spread this kind of stuff like wildfire. So as much as the mainstream media wishes to suppress it, and they really do, that the truth still gets out there. So this is Talles Roberto, T-H-A-L-L-E-E, I'm sorry, T-H-A-L-L-E-S, Roberto. I'm not sure who he is. Well, I guess we should look it up, right? So who is Talles Roberto? I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. Okay, so he's a Brazilian musician. So, and he is here on Instagram. Let's go look just real quick, but I'm not that interested. Yeah, you have to sell out. You would just have to. A lot of selfies. Notice how into you know, I can relate. Do you see how like into themselves these people are? Like, here's a photo of me. Like, there's nothing, and it's all the same photo. Same photo. Same photo. Same photo again. It's all one long stream of same photos. And we feed them. We are their food. We nourish their need for affirmation and redemption. You know? Yes. TAC. Yeah, they are. And that's not a knock. I mean, but again, I go even deeper, and it's not necessarily deeper, but then I say, because I don't believe the modern, I don't believe at all, actually, the modern labels we've given all this stuff. I always want to look to the spiritual at what we're looking at. And this kind of grandstanding behavior, always having to be the center of attention, basically wanting to be, basically saying, I am, right? It's very satanic. All right. So, probably in his official photos is when he does it the most. We have established that he most definitely loves himself, and for whatever reason... See, this is the other thing, too. This happens all the time. You guys encounter it, too. People are throwing up way too many weird hand signs all the time in social media posts, and, like, you feel like you're like, I have no clue what you're doing, but knowing what I do, I see 33 hanging out here. That's me personally, you know. But he is wearing a Jesus shirt, so you should believe him. Because he certainly has conquered the ego. That's for sure. Okay, let's get out of here. I don't know. We can't spend all night because we have many more to go. Of course, the Beatles. We got Paul McCartney. They all are. They all are. But Paul McCartney, of course, throwing up the 666. John Lennon throwing up the devil horns. Or you may argue, I can't tell there. You could argue, I love you. Right? But you can't argue, I love you there. And Paul, very interesting. You know? Ladies and gentlemen, the entire 1960s was a giant cultural psyop to bring about Crowley's vision, his dream. I was going to say something vulgar, a type of dream, but I realized, bide the tongue. But it was a staged event, just like the Tonkin Gulf incident. You know, just like our question, it wasn't just by chance. These are psychopaths you're dealing with. You must understand. This is a band. They're called the Changelings, and we see there is at least one witch in the group, the bottom left. Oh, do I? Jeremiah uses his channel for an excuse to get a real job as he still lives I do. I live at home with my parents, and he has always lived there, fighting with his parents about getting a job. He is a fraud. No, maybe I'll come and bring my parents on sometime. Like, we're not fighting about anything regarding getting a parent, or getting a job, but thank you for sharing your opinion. It was highly substantive. I appreciate how you actually had something to say about the content. And I particularly appreciated the ad hominem attack. So, sorry, I am tired. But God bless you. Somehow I don't think that this is the room for you. But you have a wonderful evening. God bless you in Jesus' name. Okay, let's continue. Dun, dun. In truth, the reason why I'm kind of hanging out doing what I did, the way I'm doing this right now. And by the way, I've never asked anybody here. You all can confirm this. I've never asked for donations. I won't. I don't even accept them. I have not monetized my channel. I do not ever plan to monetize my channel. When you see advertisements on these videos, it's simply because there was either a clip or a piece of music that was used, and the third-party company is monetizing the content. I'm in the position that I am in today for many reasons, but one of them is most definitely, as much as I've healed from the things that happened, this whole stuff, and for people that just want to, again, it wasn't even a genuine accusation that came there. Sounded exactly like the voice of the guy who was supposedly my friend for years and years and years, who just so happened to come up out of the woodwork and belittle and berate me similarly like that. If you don't think this is important work, don't come here. If you don't find any of this valuable, don't pay it any attention. If you don't like me, why do you spend any time in my chat room at all? It's not a big deal, especially if I'm just an insane man, talking about nothing here, why are you wasting your time here? Like, it's just stupid. It's not going to mean anything. And, go about your life. You got better things to do than be here wasting your time with me. But again, my gang stalking began at work. And so it's been a little strange. I'm praying that in some way my life be brought into ministry, not to make money, not at all. My dream would be to be able to sort of travel around to different churches and share not just a little bit of the testimony of the reality of the demonic, but also to in some way present this to them as well, to help educate the churches. But again, if you don't value my content, you don't value my channel, what's it to you? Like, there's a lot of channels and everything else on YouTube. I don't go on to people's channels and try to belittle and berate them. That says a lot about you and your character. It says nothing about mine. I'm just a guy who probably a lot of people here in the U.S. can actually even relate to, in terms of the position they themselves find themselves in. So, but God bless you, truly. God bless you in Jesus' name. Back to the task at hand. This is the Doors. You're going to get a lot of those in the T section. So, but of course, this is the Doors on the back cover of their album 13, and that is actually a bust of Aleister Crowley. And also, too, 13, obviously, is their satanic number. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and show you that now. So I'll just kind of read this for you here. As we have repeatedly stated, the Satanist believes that numbers contain inherent power. This is one of the many reasons why you see the occult's obsession with numbers, numerology. Thus, they literally order their lives by occult numerology. Such numerology also is a key component in astrology, another system of divining that Satanists observe very closely. The occult calendar is divided into 4 segments of 13 weeks each. The number 13 is considered divine by the occultist for a couple of reasons. The Bible assigns 13 the meaning of rebellion against constituted authority, plus the depravity that caused Satan to rebel against God. The occultist assigns 6 to represent the number of man, and the number 7 to represent the number of divine perfection. So please note this as well, because there's some Christians who naively think when they're putting like the 77 or 777 in their screen names, but it's an occult thing, right? They're the ones arguing this. There is literally zero precedent in Scripture for 777. There's nothing that actually should instantly ring a red flag for you. It should ring a bell. set off an alarm for you and to tell you to be really on guard with this person and really scrutinize the things they say with Scripture to see if what they're saying is actually true. Because the devil's crafty, man. He has pretended to be a Christian all along. Nothing new in his bag of tricks. Yes, exactly. Crowley wrote a book called Liber 777. He wrote one 333 as well. So here is The Game and Busta Rhymes. And it shouldn't, no shocker there, really. There's The Game again. He's just flicking you off and doing the one eye for you. That's interesting. Where on earth did I download this from? Planet of the Apes or something here? The Grateful Dead, we've been over this many times. There's a lot we could talk about here. I mean, but I've repeated these things over and over again. The Grateful Dead were originally the Zodiacs, then they were the Warlocks, and then the Grateful Dead. As a matter of fact, there was a man, what was his name? The guy who supplied them with their LSD, who was basically this, frankly, he definitely came from, he was from Kentucky. He came from a long line of some of America's first founders, and also, once again, military intelligence. But he produced something like 5 million hits of LSD in just a couple of years between 65 and 67. And so he was supplying the Dead. Well, Ken Kesey was supplying the Dead through this man. And then Bob Hunter, of course, Grateful Dead. He was a part of MK Ultra's Stanford University LSD tests, just like Ken Kesey was. As a matter of fact, that's how they got to know each other, as far as I know. And then they both just happen to be not just part of a band that promotes LSD use for everybody. And then you got Ken Kesey himself literally handing it out, essentially on behalf of the CIA to the culture. And you know what it was done for? I mean, obviously it's diabolical evil is what we're really dealing with. But on practical terms, what they were trying to do is neuter and neutralize the anti-war movement, which was before this explosion of the fake inserted hippie movement, which just kind of came out of Laurel Canyon out of nowhere. And they just all happened to have these strange military intelligence backgrounds, each one of them, almost all of them. But before that, there was actually a legitimate anti-war effort underway. That was actually being carried out of the universities at the time, and then all these hippies, these unwashed, pot-smoking, LSD-taking, orgy-having hippies emerge on the scene, and nobody takes them seriously. And for the press, it was easy as can be they were the poster child. They became the poster child of the anti-war movement, and the serious folks, the ones who had already been in the movement, did not appreciate it one bit. In fact, there were theories from the very beginning that the hippie movement was something initiated by the CIA. And when you listen to Timothy Leary talk, who promoted LSD all over the place as well, he does too. He actually credits the CIA with having actually initiated the entire counterculture movement of the 1960s. Actually, I believe this guy, I think that guy might be it. He's the sound engineer. I'm not sure if he's a band member or their LSD supplier was their sound manager. And it looks a lot like him there. Who I can't remember his name off the top of my head, though. But yeah, he was a mysterious figure who he was like a chemist, like a clandestine chemist, that just had this gift of being able to manufacture super high quality LSD right when with military and political connections throughout his family history. And it just so happens that like the CIA at the same time is testing LSD on people and promoting its use. So, but yeah, too, Bob Weir right here doing he's sitting Indian style. Again, we've been over all these things before. You should know these by now if you've been watching my channel for a bit. Gets his invite to the Bohemian Grove, literally, and has talked about it in interviews. So, Joe Rogan Experience. I mean, everybody thinks Joe's woke out there. Honestly, all the guy ever talks about is like licking toads for the next drop of DMT, which he claims is just so beneficial for him, and it's just done so much. But then also when the topic of Jesus Christ comes up, he doesn't do it with other but he has a very dismissive, sometimes very vulgar and frankly blasphemous way of handling it and responding. And so you have this here too. You got a couple of things. You got the lightning bolts, which is a well-known satanic symbol. You got him obviously opening up his third eye, his silly demon eye. And then we looked at this earlier, I believe. Oh, it's not in this folder. That's why I didn't remember seeing this. But you guys have seen this photo before, probably on my channel or elsewhere. But I mean, here he is hanging out with Stanton LaVey, Anton LaVey of the Church of Satan's son, throwing up the devil horns with him with a t-shirt that says something like a tribute to 666 on it, with Jesus burning in flames on a cross. You have to understand, these people are not, they're not transparent. They're not going to tell you a thing. They're not going to come out and tell you guys, I'm a Satanist. Few are the people that are actually going to do that. Most do their work basically almost like Nicholas Schreck said, covertly within their own sphere. In a way where it's never announced as such. But it simply is the satanic agenda being advanced, is what's going on. It's also a sun. Let's point that out too. It's also upside down. So he's got an inverted third eye that has rays of sun coming out of it. And he's got the lightning bolts. Plus he just likes to hang out with first family members of LaVey's Church of Satan. Hey, keep watching him if you want. But you'll start to notice all he really does is shill for drugs. That's about it. Shill for drugs and pretend as though he's talking about meaningful things. When honestly, like I've seen him talking about DMT, right? He tells this stupid story about these gestures, that these gnomes, they're gestures in his vision, that come to him and they're flicking him off, right? And they're just flicking him off and he's getting really disturbed. And then he said, he had this insight that they were showing him his ego, and then he just kind of went with it, and then they became more playful again. And I'm just like, all of this is meaningless. It means nothing. Bottom line is, as you walk around the world, are you actually a better person? Or did you just intellectually believe that you have somehow diminished your ego in some way? Or actually, are you just the same guy who saw some bells and whistles, who actually saw more than bells and whistles. You're encountering the reason why one of the universal reports of DMT, seeing these certain entities, and that's one of them, the gesture gnome entity is encountered many, many times, is because it's an actual spirit. It's an entity. It's demon. These are demons that you're encountering. But these people, because they're not standing in truth, because they don't respect or even read the Bible, and certainly don't love or respect Jesus Christ, they can't see a thing. They're at best a blind man in a deep, dark cave. But they think their little match is enlightenment. You don't know a thing. You're playing with things that you don't understand. And this comes from a guy. I never did DMT, but in my life I had done LSD, I had done mushrooms, I had done all kinds of drugs in my life. I know them to be a lie. They're fun for the moment, but they're meaningless. As much as I even thought I had this great, profound spiritual experience on mushrooms when I was 33, and I thought it had some long-lasting effect. Honestly, the long-lasting effect was, I think that's when the demonic activity in my life actually began increasing. Looking back on it, I thought I was finding all kinds of new truths, and I thought I had figured out a lot of new stuff, but really it was just all navel-gazing bullshit. When did we see these guys? So we're at the Rolling Stones. Remember this album? Voodoo Lounge? Right? Remember their hits? Sympathy for the Devil? It's basically like the anthem of apologetics to make it seem as though Satan's really not such a bad guy. And of course, you got Keith Richards. Keith Richards has said he's basically Kenneth Anger's kind of right-hand guy. They were real close. And there's a quote from him about it. Something along the lines of once you sort of go evil, there's no stepping back, And I guess they would know. I guess he would know. The Weeknd. Don't worry, The Weeknd doesn't love you, as we will see. You see the demonic tongue, which we've been noticing in this series over and over again, and he's throwing up the devil horns, of course. Always with the tongue as well. So he loves you, and what are you doing? You're a grown man, aren't you? What are you doing? In one of his more recent, I don't know if it was recent, but in one of his videos, he basically made a video about going to the crossroads. Yawn. There you go. I used to listen to The Weeknd. I used to listen to a lot of these people. I used to listen to The Weeknd. I used to listen to Post Malone, who we were showing earlier. And even then, I knew he never talked about Satan or whatever else. But there were times when I'd be driving around in the car and I'd just be like, "This dude's pretty out there," talking about all kinds of cocaine and what a pimp he is and all that. But he had a good voice, or at least it was kind of like a real updated version of a Michael Jackson is kind of what it was. Like an actually cool Michael Jackson is the way it seemed. But he was out there, tremendously satanic lyrics. And I'm sure if I went go combing through those lyrics today, I actually would find literal references to the devil. Absolutely. Theo Hutchcraft. I don't know what that is. Kratom. Somebody else posted about this too. Why are people messing with these things? Legal, not legal. It's like, do you really think... What does that show? Let's say you call yourself a Christian and you're out there doing that kind of stuff in the world and maybe even promoting it on the internet and making videos about it and all this. You're not representing the body of Christ well. Just like when I was like openly on video vaping in front of everybody all the time, like, you know, don't put that kind of stuff on blast at a minimum, and wear that proudly, you know, because it says I need some kind of crutch, you know, and maybe you are struggling with some things, but it's, I mean, heck, we all do, but it is, it's not something to boast about or to walk around as though you're proud of it. Theo Hutchcraft. I don't know who this is. Let's go find out. Well, let's go back to the pictures there, because we might... He's got like an interesting feel to him. I will say that much. It's not even a question. Like, we literally do not know these people. Even though they appear to be just right in our faces. Like as though we should know them. What's this about? I see him with Marilyn Manson. I want to know more. Whatever. This guy's got to have an Instagram, though, so I just want to see. Yeah, he definitely does. Theo Hutchcraft. By the way, we haven't even established. What's he famous for? He's an English singer and songwriter. Best known as the lead singer of the synth pop duo Hertz. All right. So let's go down. Let's see. As we can see, it's kind of like the last time. He does seem to like himself quite a bit. Lots of photos of himself. Alter to the self. That's what most of these social media sites are. That's how most people use them. I mean, it's probably cold out, but I've seen this enough times at this point that I have actually seen just keeping it real. I've seen the face masks used as a subtle sort of vow of silence, and just keep that in mind. You know, it's not that big of a stretch when you see that, right? Or that's him as well, Theo Hutchcraft. Creepy. And let me ask you again, just ask the question, does he look, and I'm not trying to lead you down to any conclusion, but does he look dissociated or not all there to you? Because I will say that, you know, I do, looking at it, he looks sort of not all together tethered to reality. Boy, tons and tons of people. What is this ring? I keep seeing this ring. That's what, you know, I used to take these photos too. I'd be traveling around the country, filming somewhere, and taking selfies at the coffee shop, taking selfies here, taking selfies. Nobody gives a crap. Nobody cares. But it's for this, the validation. As much as you think these people wouldn't need it, it's their food. It's their life force. And there's the peace sign, the so-called peace sign. But anyway, we don't need to keep looking here. We've seen enough. So we got that and that we've already established. He's a member of the club. Rob Thomas, Third Eye Blind, Vow of Silence, Harpocrates. This is Stefan Jenkins from Third Eye Blind. He appears to, even though it looks like it's a low light kind of setting, which would actually be really easy on the eyes, he appears to be struggling with some kind of eye obstruction, or he's doing an eye salute. We're not sure. That's Stefan Jenkins of Third Eye Blind again. Again, you think these hand gestures mean nothing, and you've had a lot of shade thrown your way about what they might mean too. You know, which makes you turn you turn your head away, and you just say, "Oh, you're just imagining that Donald Trump just sits like that." Prince he's not a witch. He was just here. Let me show you. We saw this in the last video. So I figure let's show it again. So something like this. It's not a witchcraft symbol, Adam. What are you talking about? This is that Stefan Jenkins again. Third Eye Blind, throwing up the pyramid now. And the pyramid, sure, there's an allusion to Egypt, but really this is, again, I've seen the actual rituals in documentary form where it's not a celebrity, it's not a star, and when the officiant, the priest, comes before the altar, they do this. You'll even see Anton LaVey doing it in the rituals. It's just really I read it to say I don't know, because so much of this stuff's like hidden esoteric knowledge, and frankly I don't want to go so deep, but I actually think it's just kind of as simple as like I'm a coven member. There's more to it than that, but like I'm an initiated witch is what's being said to those who know, to those who on their side have the inverted, perverted eyes that see. Somebody in the video earlier, if you're watching this right now, you were asking about Radiohead in the chat. I only saw that after the video was made. This is Tom York of Radiohead. So clearly Tom York is a member of the Optometry Club. Here he is again, actually. This kind of photo choice for an album cover, or for album covers, magazine covers, it's not it's extremely intentional. There isn't something. You got a product, you're marketing it, you want to catch people's eyes and attentions. Much thought goes into what am I going to put on the cover of what will draw people in. And they just happened to cut off half his face and only show you one eye. There he is again. Tom York. Radiohead. Tiffany Haddish. Of course. What one eye would be complete without your tongue flapping around? Peace. Peace. We got to go deeper, guys. I would like to challenge people who are watching this, because again, I don't know everything. I just know that what I'm seeing is unseemly, and as much as I put together, I'd like to go deeper into exactly what are they showing us when they do these variations of putting the V over the eye, or the putting the peace sign kind of sideways to their eye. It's probably some kind of Kabbalistic thing, but I'd like to see what other people have found in their research, so we can kind of start to get a better picture to make some sense and be coherent about all this stuff, because, it's been a real struggle, actually, trying to find and figure some things out. Like, look, I'm not going to give any commentary, and I get a lot of flack for including this in any of my videos, but, why would I honestly, knowing what I do and seeing what I see, just pretend as though, to give it the benefit of the doubt, even, because there's some kind of high level presidential witchcraft that goes on. Because even with, as much as I'd been looking even into these celebrities, I had real problems. It took me a while for me to accept stuff, with like Hillary, with Obama. I knew it, but it took me longer to kind of accept that, okay, it's actually not Texas Longhorns that they keep throwing up. Obama and Bush were not just giant Texas Longhorn fans. Again, you see it and you want to ignore it, but you see Donald Trump throwing up the 666 hand constantly. After I opened my parents' eyes to this, they both, that's the first thing they said, just not presidents, but just that this is like a cult of Hollywood.